I want to talk about your YouTube history. So you have on there right now, I think 717 videos. I imagine you've had more in the past. The oldest one dates back 16 years, but probably like 17 years because of the way the YouTube dating works. Um, and so I know you started playing guitar when you were 12, and then you started posting to YouTube 16, 17 years ago. So it was probably about 4 years after you started playing music, you start posting to YouTube about it. And it's like
Yeah.
little bits of like you like figuring out a chord or, like doing you start doing these covers a little later. It evolves.
Mhm.
Anyways, first question here. Why were you posting to YouTube? What had drawn you to post to YouTube? What did that do for you?
Yeah. It was very much, I mean, everyone now kind of looks at YouTube as this place you go to become a creator and
Mhm.
become an influencer and make money or
But
whatever.
this
But
is like
back then,
2008 and you're like
this is
16 or something
this
like
is
that.
2008. I'm 60. I'm a stupid teenager, right? And I just think it's just like YouTube wasn't this thing you could even make a
It was
business
brand
out of.
new.
It was this silly platform you upload fun videos on, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. Because this was when like E-Bombs World
Yeah.
and like claymation stuff was out, right? Like it was very much a different landscape
People
than
were still on
today, and
MySpace.
people were still in MySpace, and it was just this fun platform that you like shared a thing with the world. And I don't know, something about that, like I don't know, it just something was like so captivating about that to me. And I'd always been kind of interested in the idea of having like a website too. It's a
Mhm.
similar thing, people finding your stuff and consuming it. Um, and so YouTube just felt good. And I also, it's at, when I was 16, I was just doing stupid videos for fun, pretty much. But at some point, I realized like I feel like back then, if you went up to a stranger and said, "Have you seen this thing on YouTube?" Most people would say, "What's YouTube?" Right? They'd be like, "Oh, I saw Google Video because Google
Yeah.
Video was big, but what's YouTube?" And I thought that YouTube was going to be this huge thing that everyone ended up knowing. And I was like, I want to like make videos on this because I feel like it's just too cool. Like this is amazing that anyone can upload anything and anyone can watch it in the world. Um, and so I at some point I started trying to make videos because I felt like it was a good long term bet to establish a presence on YouTube. But it all started off just like this is a fun thing, right?
Yeah.
um, and I guess I was right.
Yeah. I
You know?
do want to talk about like you kept posting videos over the years.
Yeah.
And your second most popular, most viewed video ever is from about 5 years after you started. So 11 years ago. It's Music Theory Lesson, Modes 101. I
Is
think
that
it
my
has
second most popular video now?
your
It's not
second
my
most
first
popular.
anymore.
We'll get into the first most popular one in a little bit, but
Oh
it's your
wow.
second most popular one. I think it has 399,000 views. Did that go viral at the time or more recently?
It was, I mean, I don't know if it's ever gone viral, but, like,
Well,
for me, yeah,
400,000
it
views.
it kinda was.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It like, for, like, a channel my
Yeah.
size, that's pretty much viral. And that was not at the time, but not now. It was, like, somewhere in the middle, like, maybe, like, a year or 2 after I posted that video,
Mhm.
I noticed it was just crushing it in views and getting a ton of search traffic.
What
So
was
I
that like?
it was kinda surreal. It was also kinda weird because I wasn't really making videos like that, like other music theory videos. I think I tried to replicate that video by doing, like, essentially a follow-up to it, and then none of it ever took off,
Because you were
but
doing at the time, it was mostly like Marilyn Manson covers, Tool covers, guides on how
yeah.
to scream, sing, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, and so, it was super cool, right? Because this I believe that was all in this first kind of, like, 5-year period where I'm kinda going back and forth between guitar instructions and music theory and vocal and screaming lessons, and um, I remember just being so excited when all that was happening. Like I think that was happening when I was working at Starbucks when I was
Yeah,
in
because it
college.
was 2013 or so that video
Yeah,
was
yeah,
posted.
I would have been in college, undergrad, and working at Starbucks then. And I was living with my mom then still too, and I remember coming home and like my mom wouldn't be coming home from work until like certain hour, and so I'd be like, okay, let's record some screaming lessons, right? So, because I'm just upstairs in my office, just like "Rah," like screaming my head off, right? And I don't really want to do that when there's other people home.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was surreal, just growing online. Like it's kind of like again, now you kind of understand it because everyone knows about all these algorithms.
Yeah.
But back then, it's like, how are people finding this? Like, how does this work?
Because that was actually
I,
pre YouTube, like full YouTube algorithm. That was still when it was more
yeah,
like search based and like recommendations based on view count and stuff. And that's obviously something somebody
yeah,
would search on YouTube, like, how do I learn music theory? And your video pops up.
yeah. I wasn't even uploading custom thumbnails at that point.
Hmm.
Like the thumbnail was just whatever YouTube picked in the middle of the video back then.
Yeah.
My titles would be so literal, like Music Theory 101 modes breakdown,
Hmm.
right? Like I would never make it. You could never do a title like that anymore. Like every title is going to be like, you know, the secret music theory hack that helps you write better music, modes 101, right? It would be
Yeah.
something ridiculous like that. And the thumbnail would be this super contrasty bright color. I'd be in the corner just like, doing like a shocked face, and there'd be
Yeah.
this modes thing. It's
Well, wait. So speaking of one of these videos, your most viewed video is from the end of 2022, and it's Spotify Wrapped is really cool this year.
oh
And
yeah,
it's like you're breaking. It's I think it has 405,000 views right now, so just a few thousand more than the other one. And what's interesting about this isn't necessarily that this specifically. What I want to talk about isn't just that this is your most viewed video. It's that you tried it again 1 year later, exact same concept, exact same title, but for
yeah,
Spotify Wrapped 2023, and that one got only 15,000 views. So my
yeah,
question there is like, I don't know if you have any like you know tinfoil hat theories on why the one did so much better than the other, but then also like
yeah,
how repetition plays into your work on YouTube and like testing things that worked before, and do they
right.
often work or do they not? But yeah, that was a lot. First, do you have any, theories about why that one didn't work, but the first one
Yeah,
did?
that first one got a lot of views, and I remember thinking at the time, like, "What is happening? Like, why is this video doing so good?" But then after a couple days, like a couple weeks, it's still doing good. I'm like, "This is great, like view wise, but it's not. I don't see any increase in like sales
Mm.
or courses or consultations or ad agencies,
Subscribers, maybe even?
subscribers. There was a good amount of growth."
Yeah.
Um, but also the comments were like way more brutal. Like that was the first video. That was one of the first videos I had that like,
Which is what happens when you get that viral reach outside of your
yeah,
audience who knows you.
it felt like YouTube, like maybe it was the way that I recorded this video, but it felt like YouTube's interpretation of the video was that it wasn't for music artists. It was for people who use Spotify as a consumer.
Yes.
And so they pushed it out to all these people who like Spotify, but they're not music artists. So they're kind of this more like general public kind of thing who have the expectation of like Mr. Beast level quality. So I get so many comments that were like, your audio sucks, your video sucks. I'm just like what the hell, man? Like I've never had anyone complain about my audio or video in years.
Yeah.
Really, almost never. And like in the same week on the same video, I have like 10 people complaining about my audio and video. Um, so I was like, these comments are like really brutal. Also, a lot of people like just disagreeing more than like I'm fine with disagreeing with people, but this was just way more. Like, so it was more drama. It wasn't making me any more money, but it was giving me more subscribers. But I was like, I feel like these subscribers,
Not
they're
gonna stick
not really
around or yeah.
yeah, because if they're not music artists, like my channel isn't really valuable to them, you know. So I remember at the time I was thinking, should I try to make more videos in line like this and broaden my horizons a bit? And I decided not to because I was like, this isn't like it's not going to help me. My bottom line, it's not going to help me like reach the people I
You don't need to
actually
serve
want
the
to
music
talk to.
consumer. You serve the musician.
Yeah, yeah, and so I basically purposely made my next video as like deep into the music artist perspective as possible, just so that like any of those people would be weeded out. Like
Smart.
if you're not here for that, like just unsubscribe. Like I don't want you if you're not the right person for my channel. I don't want that data like messing up YouTube's interpretation of what my channel is. So when I made the video the next year, I very much was like, let's just try to do what I did before, but maybe make it more clear from the get go that we're talking about things from an artist perspective and like who is my channel for
Yeah.
actually. Um, and maybe that's why I didn't do as well. But also, like, I didn't have it didn't feel like it was the wrong audience anymore. So
Yeah. Well, so
it's
it actually was like ultimately a lesson in like consolidating your audience and who your audience is.
yeah.